Hi, and welcome to Queens Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Sharice Beckett, and this is the place where we empower queens to lead, transform, and shine. And my next guest is a leader of leaders, Makisa George. I am so excited to take you on this journey with me, you guys. Here's the deal. Sometimes it'll just be us, me talking to the audience, diving into have some fun, relatable chats. And then sometimes I'll bring on these incredible guests, experts who know their stuff when it comes to topics that impact us all, like career advice, health and wellness, relationships, confidence building tips, kids sometimes. And of course, we'll be spotlighting these amazing stories of queens who are out there breaking barriers and making waves in their own unique ways. So whether we're having a heart to heart or learning from the best, Queens Behind the Scenes is your space for inspiration, some laughs, and plenty of that queen energy. So let's do this. So today, we have the honor of welcoming an incredible guest to Queens Behind the Scenes. Meet Makisa George, the visionary founder of Meditatours, a transformative, proactive wellness company. Mindful of your recovery. The focus is on the body and mind recovery, offering infrared sauna, cold plunge, cryotherapy, dry flotation massage therapy, and mindset coaching. Makisa's journey is nothing short of inspiring. She took a bold leap into the health and wellness world, an industry entirely different from her professional corporate background. Through resilience, creativity, and unwavering commitment to personal growth, she turned her passion for mindfulness into a thriving business. Makisa is a trailblazer who is redefining what it means to start fresh and succeed. So first, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you?
Thank you. I nearly didn't recognize myself. I am doing fantastic. That's so generous and so kind. But I am doing fantastic. It's been a busy time period for us, but we thrive in that atmosphere.
I love that. Well, I'm going to get into we have an organic relationship, so I'm going to get into talking about this life-changing pivot because we both had discussed. I've been working on this for 3 years. The fear got in my head of putting myself out there, and so what inspired you to make this life-changing pivot?
Okay. So I look at what I did as not a pivot, but more of an expansion because I didn't leave what I knew behind. So I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always loved doing my own thing and thinking that I had something to offer people. And in my life up until this point, I've been labeled a wellness ambassador well before making this leap into this industry. And being labeled as such, it's kept me in that space. So I've always been delving, with a foot in the water in this space, and being an energy professional as well. Energy is all related, whether it's the energy that keeps the lights on for you or the energy that keeps you going throughout your day. It's still related. If you have energy and if you have the right amount of energy, you're going to be able to do much more than without it. So and you're going to thrive, whether it's a community or a person, an individual person. You're going to thrive with energy. So not a total leap, because I'm taking everything that I've been doing and compounding it into this new space. And it's a space where I love.
I love that. And you have been a wellness. When we both started our journey, a while ago,
Yes.
over 10 years ago, we started this journey. You were so much, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. The over 10 years. And you were so much more committed at first than I was because I like to eat. I'm eat. I will never forget. We both committed to this. We're going to make these lifestyle changes. And my husband caught me in the pantry with a cheesesteak. So I was like,
and I recall you when we were really hitting it hard and close to reaching a huge milestone, you were like, just so you know, every night I had a cookie.
every night. I would be like, how to get that cookie. And when I realized it wasn't causing any significant change, I was like, see, everybody should have a cookie. Everyone should have the cookie. I really did. And you have really, really influenced me to change kind of my thinking around health and wellness because now I am an ambassador, I want you on here to talk about it and talk about anything that can make us well and proactively well is like amazing. That's the difference, is like not waiting for the moment where you need it.
Exactly. And a lot of that, and I think just societal wise, everyone took note of proactively being well when COVID hit. And it because you were more vulnerable if you were not in a state where you were taking care of yourself and recovering your body after doing something grueling. If you've been eating poorly, finding ways to get a lot of those toxins out of your body, and your mind as well, that became,
Yeah.
I mean, mental wellness became at the forefront during COVID. And so it's a space that society was ripe for. And, we just happened to get into that space before society got the memo.
Right. They caught up with us.
Yes.
They caught up with us. They caught up. And I remember you and I talking when we went to Leesburg. It was kind of like at the end of like the pandemic, kind of like we were allowed to be outside with
Yes.
people again. And we met in Leesburg, and you were giving me some tidbits about what you were thinking of and how you were thinking. And I thought it was fantastic then. And then when I actually saw it executed, I was like, this is just fantastic. And I do see, and I want to know your perspective around this, because even with doing my thing with the podcast and building a brand,
Mm-hmm.
an aspirational brand, like how my corporate background and has helped. I mean, I'm an HR executive, so
Yes.
that has all really helped me, because one of the things I would say for me is like, I'm always like, no, I'm not just an HR professional. I'm a businesswoman, because I have to know about each part of this business, because you can't not know, because you
Right.
can't help if you don't
Right.
know,
Right. If
right?
you're going to be effective, you have to know about the different parts of the
You,
business. If you're going to be the best
you,
HR professional, HR executive,
right.
you have to know about each part of the business. It just helps.
It does. It does. It really does. And I see a lot of people in my space who do like who don't know about, a lot about the business, and they're
Right.
solving problems, but like, couldn't you solve it so much better if you had the like information? And so I was wondering how your corporate professional background influences your approach to your business,
Okay.
starting it, how you run it, and everything.
Okay. I think nothing is wasted in life. Whatever your experience is, you're not wasting it by learning something new and doing what you're doing. In my corporate world, I've been I've been dealing with people, building a business, finding new lines of business that I could creatively put together for clients, and just catering and curating a vision to get them what they need. And sometimes it's that they don't even know what they need, they haven't identified it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
formulating that so that you can help them in different ways. So that background has really, it's really strengthened my role as a leader in my business, where like you
Mm-hmm.
said, we're offering solutions to people who might be in pain, who don't want to their first step to be surgical. So they like to do all of the steps before that. They'd like to
Right.
make sure that they're taking care of their body before they get to that point. If they have swelling in
Right.
their knee, or if they have a pain or a strain, how can you help before that? So it's identifying that and figuring out ways to help them. Would a cold plunge
Yeah.
help? Would cryotherapy help? I'm having a hard time remembering things. I'm having a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Dry flotation will help you. And you see the professional athletes using those techniques. It's at their beck and call. And we want to make sure that the rest of the society has access to that. And that's my role in corporate America. That's what we're doing. We're figuring out ways to bring access to to companies that may not have access to certain forms of energy. And that's kind of the crux of the intermingling of my worlds. And it's been beneficial to me. It's strengthened everything that I'm doing on my own, it's put me in a position where I can speak authoritatively about how I can help, what people may want to open their eyes to, because this is going to make their journey easier as well. You give me
Mhm.
a problem, I'm trying to fix it.
Yep.
You give me a unique issue, and I'm researching to find out the best way and what we can offer to make sure that we can help that person, help someone else who may be having similar issues. And knowing when there is a trend of a particular of a particular issue, or or people are starting to feel a lot of stress based on, if they're riding horses and they're going to compete, they're feeling a lot of stress. Is there something that they can take that's not drugs?
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, even
Right.
I mean, even prescription drugs, if they can avoid taking a prescription drug and use what nature has given to us, so whether it's wellness shots and using that to feel better, I'm like, how do we formulate that so that people have access to it? So their first step isn't always huge. Their
Yeah.
first step
Yeah.
to feeling better isn't always huge. So it's being in the business of helping people to feel good, feel better.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's kind of how what I see in my corporate life too. Similar, like I help people all the
Right.
time. I mean, and
No.
that's how I look at it.
Yes.
Right. We're yeah. So I help people. I help the organization, but I mostly do that by helping people, right? And so I help people all the time. So I have in those skills I have to do that, I've been able to bring over and when I started something new, I was able to bring over that helpfulness, like, oh my gosh, what is something that I'm good at? Let me lean into my strengths about helping people, but helping people with things that I've been successful
Right.
at doing, right? Or like successful at trying or whatever. I mean, I know for me, it's been some big challenges. It sounds like you've had so far, a really good run. What were some of those challenges you faced when you first stepped into this industry?
Yeah. Anything new is gonna bring a challenge. If it's not challenging you, you're probably doing it wrong.
Right. It's so true.
Yeah, yeah. So it's knowing where your people are, knowing where the people who are ready to, the first movers are. In anything that we do, there are people who are going to be laggards, and not in a negative way, but there are going to be people
Mm-hmm.
who need to see everyone else do it first before they
Mm-hmm.
do it. So finding the first movers and getting them to be ambassadors of your brand, that's been challenging at first, but once you find that tribe, it gets easier. Everything gets easier. That's been happening, so that's encouraging. But initially, just identifying who your people are, who that market is, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, what they're begging for but no one's listening, and addressing it, that's been the most challenging part, because first you have to find them, understand, and then understand them. So the understanding of what issues may be prevalent, that's been my biggest challenge, but it's a good challenge to have. Once you're overcoming it, it's a good challenge.
Yeah. Well, you're just really good at being able to face those things, like to look challenge in the face and just crush it. So I had no doubt that your answer was going to be something like that. Did you have moments of self-doubt during this transition? And I hate to say, because I don't, but we all have some self-doubt, right? Like we all have some type of, oh, what if this doesn't? And I've been really working myself on that, of like the self-talk.
Yes.
Like I got to talk to myself nicely. Like, come on, instead
Yeah.
of, so that's where that's where I get the help with my self-doubt. But like, were there moments like that, and like
Oh,
how did you overcome
for
them?
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. I remember um at the start we had set up at a horse show, and we were going for 12 weeks. I had the vision that that people would be flocking at the door because it was so
They need
necessary.
this.
Yes, they're
They
going
need
to love me.
Yeah, right. I'm bringing them something. Yeah.
Yes, yes, they're gonna be thanking me profusely every time they walk in these doors.
Right.
And when they didn't come flocking like I
In
expected,
droves.
it grows every day. What is this?
What's happening?
Maybe we have the wrong hours. So maybe we should have, so I'm identifying.
Everything.
And then the few that did come, they were all excited and they had suggestions. You know what you need to do? You know what you need to do? Everyone had a you know what you should do because they recognized that it was valuable, but they felt like other people weren't recognizing it because of some lack on our part, some kind of marketing lack on our part. And of course, that had to be partially true. We had to have been misidentifying what
Mm-hmm.
people were willing to do, right, without proof, without seeing it before.
Science or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then and the science was there, but how do they know the science? And how
Right.
do how do they break what is a habit of, I feel pain, I just work through it. How,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
correcting it, I just work through the pain. I finish working out. Well, I'm supposed to feel a little achy. Big deal. Instead of they're not going to recognize that you can do this for a much longer time if you proactively get your body either stretched, a compilation of stretching,
Mm-hmm.
pressing, cold treatments or hot treatment. If you're doing that
Mm-hmm.
proactively, you might be doing this for 50 years versus a good 10.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the whole LeBron James that he spends this amount on recovery theory, and this is why he's still going. So there was all kinds of self doubt. I said, "Oh my gosh, I did this wrong." I said, maybe I shouldn't have committed so much time to getting this done." And then, but that self doubt. I mean, it does crush you unless you start saying really good things to yourself, like you said, because when I went in, I said, "This is," and a friend said to me, he said, "Remember, this is your master's degree that you're going for. Do not get discouraged by anything that happens. This is where you're going to learn everything you need to know about your audience." And I had to reframe and come up
Yeah.
with the fact that this is not bad. This is a great learning experience, and we close to the last 4 weeks, the droves were happening. They were coming in droves. I mean, it was to the point where we were running out of the gas to do cryotherapy, and
Wow.
it took some penetration. We had to penetrate that market, but it got to where they were. My trainer sent me here. I fell off. My trainer sent me here and told me to go over there. And a trainer came in one day limping and said, "I need to and I need help here." It, like I said, to the point where we were running out of of the supplies that we needed to help, because we had been so used to it's going to be moderate. It's they're going to come in, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be as hot. And then that when that changed, we then had to transform and get our act together, get more. But we don't want too much, so that when it's time to go, we have to move all of that inventory. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It is. It's like a very that's I mean because it is that story of persisting and just,
yes,
you knew what you were confident in your own product. Like you knew
right,
what you were offering was good.
right. And it's just keep going. That's really the theme. It's keep going. If it's anxiety peaking, just keep going. That's the answer to it. Put some action behind it, and it will get better. Sitting with that self-doubt, it's only going to magnify. if you keep moving forward, it will start evaporating. It will, you leave it in the dust. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
lesson.
There's always that lesson. It's funny because I was thinking about all of these things that I've done in my life because I'm pretty entrepreneurial too. Like I want to do something that's like just mine. And I was
Yes.
thinking about it because I my girlfriends up here that I don't really know that are in the DMV who don't really know me, as well as you do.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, because when I used to spray tan people and they was like, come
I was
again?
thinking about
I was like, no, yeah, I used to spray tan people. They were like, wait, what? And I was like, oh. And then I had to tell them, like I had gotten laid off. And I was like, well, I got laid off and I needed something to do that I liked. And, and it brought in some money. Surprisingly, it did. But I will say, being my younger self, it was so much easier to do things like that. Like,
yeah.
my whole thing was, okay, I quit. Spray tan people. And I like my older self is not that way. I'm more I'm like, yeah, I got these kids. And now they're grown. Right. And now they're grown, except for Braylon. And I'm like, a lot more reserved in that thinking. And sometimes I wish I could go back to thinking like,
Yeah.
my young self.
Yes, you were brave. You were brave.
Yeah.
People would describe you that way.
Oh no, I remember one of my neighbors, he thought I quit my job. And he was like, so I'm just mystified at the fact that you quit your job to spray tan people. I was like, no, 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 no. No, no,
That
no.
wasn't the plan. I just rolled with
That
the punches.
That's the thing. And I was like, that's my entrepreneurial spirit. Cause when I see something like a market, I'm like, oh yeah, like, Ariel was cheering at the time. So I was like, oh, let's,
Yes. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so the fear and doubt weren't there as much as now because I feel like now I feel like I maybe more to lose or something like that. Or, I am also in a different space now, right? I'm in a different space as an executive as like I was younger then. And I remember going, I'm going to be doing some consulting, probably consulting for nothing. I had no qualification to one, but I'm a consult some people. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm in a different place now. And I know that it feels like that for a lot of people, but I had to find moments of clarity, right? Like those moments of clarity for me, and especially even with doing this. So, do you have any tips to finding that clarity?
Tips to finding clarity. I would, you know what? I think it's definitely talks with yourself. It is, there is so much, there's so much opportunity out there, especially now. There is access to all of these different versions of yourself that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, we are living longer. And if we're living longer, there are more opportunities to change lifestyles than we used to have in the past. You don't have to do one track for your whole life. You can expand,
No.
or you can pivot, you can take your pick of what you'd like to do when you grow up. And I think I think a lot of it is going to be writing down your vision. If you have to first have a vision of where you want to be, or else you will be going this way, that way, that way. And all of those
Mm-hmm.
ways can happen, and maybe not all at the same time. But if you strategically have a vision, and there are two places that you'd like to go, you can do those simultaneously if you have time. But start with a vision and then formulate your plan. But know where you want to go before you start just roaming. And because
Right, yeah.
roaming
You
may
can
be part of
roam.
the process,
You
but
right.
you don't want to go in a circle. You want it to be circular, where
Yeah.
you have absolutely no direction. You're just guessing. And there's opportunities
Yeah.
for guessing when you're within and you're figuring things out. But as long as
Mm-hmm.
you have that target as to where you want to go, that at least is the star that can guide you on that journey. But have a vision of where you want to go, come up with a strategy as to when, how, and then then start putting it into action. Don't wait on it. Start putting it into action. A few years ago, I decided I wanted to compete in a horse show, and I have, but now I want to. I have an opportunity to do one of the biggest horse shows in the world, one of the biggest venues, and I said yes to it because I knew that I had that vision 3 years ago. That when I started to ride, I said I want to be able to compete in a horse show. I mean, in horse shows. How can I get that done? And when the opportunity presented itself, I didn't say no. I said, how do I make this work? Even though I'm delving into this new space, how do I still make this work? And I can, so I will. And again, it aligns with where I said I wanted to be. But it started with a
Yeah.
vision of where you're going. If it falls in
Yeah.
line with that vision, then do it. Support it with what.
Yeah. I want to pull on two threads there that you said. So the first, well, one you didn't say, but I was like thinking it in my head, and I don't know if this inspires you, but so young people really inspired me. Like, and when I say young people, I mean people our kids' age, like
Yes,
that inspired me to be more like I don't have to do just this one thing. I didn't have that. I had that. This is what, the way we grew up was this: you get a job, you have that job for the next, whatever amount
30.
of years, 40,
Yeah.
30, whatever. Yeah, you get your watch, your retirement watch, and you go on home. You know what I mean? And I knew, like, I'm not doing that. That's not my plans. And that's not my plans. But I think I got that courage from. So I wanted to drop that gem, but I also wanted to go back to something you said and pull a thread on visualization because it's so important in the process of starting anything is being able to visualize yourself doing it and being
Yes,
successful at it.
yes,
Right, being successful at it for sure, because like that's one of the things is that has helped. Like, honestly, I woke up this morning, I did my morning routine with like my meditation and working out, and I did my whole routine, and I started thinking about I am visualizing like I am in a pretty sexy job for
yeah,
corporate function. Yeah. And I was thinking I am in a place that I thought about being a long time ago.
yeah,
Like, I visualized this a long time ago. And people sometimes go, well, is that not enough for you? Well, I'm a dynamic person. So
right,
my profession and my background are going to be dynamic. And I want to bring that being dynamic to the table. Like, that's part of me. I am a dynamic person. So why would I limit myself to just this one thing that I'm good at when I have other things that I'd like to do and that I visualize,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah. We definitely don't have to be one dimensional. We don't want to be
No.
one dimensional. Like you said, you're dynamic. There's so many dimensions to who we are. And if they don't conflict with each other, do it. And if they do conflict, then you have decisions to make. And
Right.
and that's healthy. That's a healthy reassessment.
And normal. And normal,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's healthy and it's normal. Do you do a vision board?
I do. I do.
I do too. I just started last year, but yeah, I do
Yeah, and
too.
you know what? Even when I'll tell you. Even when I did, I have one from maybe 6 years ago, like visualized doing a carnival troupe in St. Thomas, and I've done that a few times. I remember that
Yeah, you did do that.
from that vision board, and I remember those things. But I have this vision board that runs. It rotates, and it's called Pinterest.
Yes. Yes.
There's because there are fun ways to do it, and Pinterest is one of them. And so it rotates, but I do have a standard physical one that I create in addition to the digital ones that I formulate because it gives me ideas, and
Yeah.
it keeps me changing too, because I learn so
Yeah.
much just by seeing what's out there.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, let me tell you, we're building a house. And so I have a whole Pinterest board full of my vision for the
Yes,
home.
yes,
And so I got all kinds of vision for no home. Yet. No, no home yet. Yet. But I have I love Pinterest, and I just got into loving how you can use the Pinterest boards. My sister-in-law uses them a lot. And so I was like, let me get on in the Pinterest. I had an account, but like I never used it.
Yeah.
So it's
No
great.
major life decision happens without Pinterest for me.
Pinterest.
Like, this is where I put, if I'm executing anything, I create a Pinterest board for the execution of that something.
That is such a great idea.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's just a bevy of options sitting right there waiting on you, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives you new ideas. It gives you fresh new looks at some of the same old things. I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a proponent of Pinterest. I'm a proponent of using vision boards to help formulate plans and just knowing where you want to go in life. Sometimes to help you visualize, Pinterest does do that. Not an advertisement for Pinterest. I'm not
Yes.
a paid influencer for Pinterest, but I recommend.
I recommend it too. I really honestly, and the reason I like it is because of the way my brain thinks. I see something on there and I want that something, and they give you the suggestions on where to
Yes,
buy it.
yes,
That for me, that was a game changer. I was like,
yes.
have they been doing this all along?
They have been. This is
Okay. So now I'm in Pinterest all the time. Last night I was like, Braylon, oh, let me show you my Pinterest board for your room. And he was like, oh, this is great. I was like, and you can buy it. Look how you can buy that stuff.
yes, yeah. See, a whole new room,
Oh, yeah, you got a whole new room. I was like, wow,
another generation on
Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Oh, yes, I'm telling you. Wow, yeah. And so let's get into the company because I want, first of all, I want you to be able to talk about your company because I want you to have obviously more exposure. But I want to know, I mean, just about Meditatours,
Okay,
what has been so like, first of all, you shared about the company, but I want you to share your vision
okay,
behind your company.
okay,
Now, what is the vision behind your company?
okay, okay. Well, okay. I'll tell you one of the things about me. One of the things that brings me joy is being able to help people feel good. Like, I will find the person who's distressed, and that will haunt at me until I figure out how to help them. So when Meditators was formulated, it was with mindfulness involved. So it was mainly for the mind proponent component as well as the body component. But it started with the mind because, I mean, they work together. You want
Yeah,
them to be
for sure.
aligned. The and I wanted people to have a space where they can they can feel better without, and it's convenient. It's always been
Yeah.
convenience and feeling better. Those are the two strong core principles of the company. Make it easy for clients, and make it make it not only easy but help them to feel better. And so
Yeah.
mentally, so we said, okay, people think meditation, they start thinking woo woo. It's woo woo, but we don't want it to be woo woo. We don't want it to
Right.
only be accessible to a few people who happen to wear baggy clothes and a lot of color. This is open for everyone. You don't have to be a type of person to meditate, to control your breath, to help your body.
I'm a proponent to that. So,
Yeah, and so the mind is at the core, but then you have your body that needs to be recovered. So while you're doing that, while you're recovering your body, you can add a silence component, you can add a VR
mhm.
meditation component to it. But a lot of these things can be done hot or cold. So we have this fire and ice recovery studio where you can do a cold plunge. It seems tough, but the dopamine levels that you attain from doing a cold plunge rival any any negative drug that you can use it, and it lasts longer for you. So it is a feel better, it is a feel better modality that people become resilient, more resilient, more gritty, accomplish more when they do a cold plunge in the morning. So we give people access to that, because the ice baths that people create in their homes, it's a lot, and you can't sustain
You're telling me, yeah, that is not sustainable. Let me tell you, it is not sustainable.
that.
Me running to get a towel and
Yeah,
yeah, no.
exactly, exactly. So we're making it convenient. We're doing that for you. We're not.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. We have the filtration system. It is self cleaning. We go for the best in the market when we're coming up with these modalities. Cryotherapy. We have localized cryotherapy. This is for pain. We use it for pain. We use it for flexibility. We also use it to lose a couple of inches where you don't like them, and we will freeze those off, freeze that fat from certain areas of your body using that same modality. It's a magic device.
Coming.
And then we have the infrared sauna. It sweats out those toxins out of your body. You will sweat out those toxins. It is, I call that the detoxifier. The cold plunge is a whole mood. Dry flotation bed that we have, that is also, it recovers your REM sleep. 4 hours of recovered REM sleep. When
Oh
I
my gosh.
tested that bed, it was in an elite spa in Philadelphia. They have this in Palm Beach in Florida. So it is not it's not everywhere, but it's something that's accessible to people who care about themselves. And we're bringing it to
Yeah.
people in a convenient way. So they have that same access, but they don't have to go to a spa to get it done. And then we have compression therapy, which is everyone's favorite. This is kind of like the introductory modality for wellness. It's what athletes everywhere
Yeah.
use it, and that's where I started with it. It was using those compression sleeves. You've seen those Normatec sleeves. We have it for your arms, which gets your shoulders, which gets you the palm of your hands as well, all the way to your arm. It's for your hips. Tennis players love it.
Wow.
Anyone who's doing an activity where it creates tight hips, it helps to loosen those
Mm-hmm.
hips. And then for your legs, and it takes it all the way to the tip of your toes to the very top of your hips. And so we offer those modalities just when you walk in. We have red light therapy as well, which wakes up the energy center of your cells, the mitochondria. And when that
Wow.
happens and you do it regularly, it really builds up your immunities. It helps your skin. It gets your energy levels up, and all all at a stone's throw. And we would meditate tours was because we came to you. We would come to your events. We would make it really easy for you. And we still do that, but now we're going to give you a place, a central place where you can come to us.
So you're getting a brick and mortar.
Yes, brick and mortar coming up
Oh,
January 1.
yay.
January
Oh my gosh,
1.
everybody's doing something amazing January 1. I love this for you. That is amazing. I am so happy that you're doing this. This is amazing. And I'm sure you visualize what you wanted. Like you knew you wanted to have a brick and mortar at some point. So you're like, you built to that.
Yes, yes, and the visualizations don't stop. Like you say, you always visualizing bigger, better, different adjustments, etc. So all of that has started already, and I have a couple of visions that I'm still going to work on, but this is step one for brick and mortar, and it's with
I
a
love that.
great group of people.
I love that. Well, and I think I know you have some exciting new things happening in 2025, like your brick and mortar. So, are there any other upcoming events or new offerings you're particularly excited about?
Well, I would say that is the 2025 new.
That's a huge one.
That's a big one. We're going to have an open house on January 4th, and then we're going to do a grand opening on February 1st. So open house, get people in, get them to see the space, see what they can do. We have specials that we're running. They can get those while they're available. And then February 1st, we're going to do a big grand opening for this space and just have it all. We have our signature appetizers and healthy juices. We call them talk tales because they make you talk to your friends and you're not drunk. They're
I
actually
love
healthy,
this.
but they make you
Okay.
feel good. Um, so
They make
so
you
we
feel
have
good.
those,
Hey,
and and so we're gonna offer those and just get people in here, just having fun.
I love that. I mean, I'm coming.
We're just
I better get an invitation because I will. Oh, yay! I would love to come to that. That's outstanding. I mean, anytime you know that you're investing in a brick and mortar, you know you've done. I mean, a smart person, you know you've done well to be able to do that. So I am so proud of you, but also just amazed and mystified by all the things you continue to do and how you continue to grow yourself and your business. Where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
in the next 5 years, multiple brick and mortar.
She's like, okay.
Different locations for them because we still want to bring the goodness to a lot more people. So setting up at different locations. This location is in Richmond, expanding to Florida and North Carolina. That's the vision within the next 5 years that I plan on attaining. So that's
That's amazing.
that's going to be great, and
So
that's
growth.
so
So
much
growth.
happening
A
in
lot of
that
growth. Yeah.
those
Yeah.
areas. We could really
Yeah. That's a lot of growth.
yes, and we plan on expanding our mindset coaching availabilities so we can help even more people who just desperately need to know how to make a goal and achieve it, and it could be anything. We coach people who want to look better, and it could just be that you want to look better, and not undermining that. People, we are visual people, we will always be visual people, so regardless of what's trending in terms of appearance, people will want to think of themselves in their best light. And whatever that best light is for them, we want to be able to help them get there and come up with a way to do so. Whether it's a teenager who wants to make a team and they just need someone on their side helping them and guiding them, we're there for it.
I love that. That's awesome. I mean, continued growth, all positive things. I'm going to support any wonderful thing that you're doing, Makisa, but this is actually so great because it's aligned so much with you. Like it
Thank
aligns
you.
with the things that you've wanted to do, the things that you've talked about doing. So I think it's fabulous. What advice would you give someone that is starting something new?
I'm gonna say it again. Keep going. Don't stop. When you pause and you hem and you haw, that's when things don't get done. If you keep moving forward, you'll be able to vet what you need to scrap, what you need to continue doing. But if you're doing nothing but thinking, sitting and thinking on
Time
it,
just passed.
yeah, time is going, opportunities are being lost, you're not trusting yourself, and you will trust yourself more the more you do. You have to prove to yourself again and again that you're trustworthy. And you gain that trust status by doing things that prove you to you. So
Yep.
I just keep moving. It know where you want to go, just know what the ultimate vision is, but anything outside of that, keep making steps towards it until it starts to feel really good. Like I have a plan. I know where I should go. I know where I should put more of my attention. You don't figure that out sitting in your thoughts. I know that
Yeah.
because I've tried that, and it doesn't work. It doesn't move anything forward.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true though. The like sit because it is like you could sit in your thoughts and think of all these things, but what did someone say to me before? Like a goal is just a thought or something if you don't have a plan or something
Right.
like that. Like, so, and it is like so true. Yeah, it is. I mean, because you can't sit there and ideate and you get that analysis paralysis where
Yes.
you're just not doing anything because one thing didn't work.
You
And
you
now
you've
you're just
never
thinking of all
suffered
the
from
things.
that.
No,
You have never suffered from that.
no, that's not one of the things. That is not one of the things I've suffered with. You're like 100% right. Yes, that is not me, but it can happen. And I've seen it. I've seen it to people, and I've seen it happen to some really good brands that I thought, oh, this is going to be great.
Yes.
And then the person gets this analysis paralysis where they analyze one thing that they did wrong that didn't work, and then they just sit in their thoughts.
Yeah.
And time just passes, and somebody else then came out with the idea and made it 10 times better.
Yes. And that's the thing. If you do it, you can improve it. You just have to keep doing it so you can be the one improving it.
Yeah, totally. Well, Makisa, I gotta say thank you for sharing this remarkable journey with us today. Your story is that testament of power and courage, reinvention, following your passion, even if it leads you into the unknown. Through Meditatours, you've not only created a space for mindfulness and healing, but also shown us the beauty of taking bold steps towards a life that aligns with your deepest values. Your insights and advice have left us, I know me, inspired and ready to embrace new opportunities in our own lives. To all of our listeners, if you're feeling called to explore proactive wellness or even a big life change, I encourage you to learn more about Meditatours and the incredible work Makisa is doing. What are your socials, social media?
At Meditatours
Everywhere. Y'all hear that? Everywhere. Thank you again, Makisa, for being here and showing us that it is very possible to start something new and extraordinary. Remember, in addition to the podcast, please go over to our website at www.queensbehindthescenes.com and download our free goal tracker. We want to provide a resource to help you boss up like a queen. And if you're ready to take your own story to the next level, and we're here to help with that as well with our Crown Your Success program. This is our personalized coaching program designed to empower you to set bold goals, build unshakable confidence, and create the life you've always envisioned. Your questions, feedback, and ideas are what keep us inspired and thriving, because together we're building a community of unstoppable queens. Don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's to connect, celebrate, or begin your coaching journey. Thanks again, and tune in next week where we have an amazing guest discussing starting over. She is going to share an incredibly admirable story. This woman is a barrier breaker and a superstar. Trisha Dunlap, managing partner of Dunlap Law. She started over and went to law school at 40 years old while overcoming some extraordinary circumstances. Until next time, queens, keep shining, keep thriving, and keep making your mark in front of and behind the scenes. Thank you so much.